Welcome back, my friends, to Manny's Irish Pub. It is Friday, July 30th, 2021. I'm here with my co-host, Rob Veno. We're going to have a quick hitting segment today. We're going to make this one a short and sweet. We both have some plans later on tonight and the weekend. And the day got away from me a little bit, Rob. As you know, you're in my my neck of the woods. Mm-hmm. And we actually had a rather large tornado blow through the Washington Crossing area last night. And, as I've said on the show, talking about these things, a long time ago, I did some storm chasing in the Midwest. And I have not ever even remotely seen what I saw last night when I was standing out my driveway trying to secure plants that we bought that probably would have ended up in Delaware, and it really wouldn't have mattered. But I wish I would have had my phone with me, because I would have taken a shot of the clouds. Now, the storm was coming northwest to the southeast, so basically out of the north, and these clouds were going due north at a rate that you can't even imagine. It was like watching a jet stream. They were going so fast. And at that point, I knew that, I saw the hook on the radar, which you don't see a hook like that in Pennsylvania. And the whole thing was just hard to believe. And then, everything just got, within 5 minutes, it got pitch black. With street lights went on River Road, and it was kind of nuts. And then took a hike this morning, and what I always do with they're trails. They're actually real hiking trails, and I can actually take a clip of this, I think, and share it. This is one that it doesn't even look like a trail at all. I'm going to take a quick screenshot of this, Rob, if you don't mind. And then we'll get to the baseball situation. But this is something I think, when the National Weather Service determines how big it was, then we're gonna learn an awful lot about it. So here, let's see if I can load this. Yep, here it comes. It's easy to do. So this is going to look like something you would see in South America. So there you go. And it doesn't do it justice. It just doesn't do it justice. So that this is on the damage path here is about 400 yards wide, which is enormous. And you can see how the trees are just like taken out right from the base. They're not split halfway up the tree, that's what you see with straight line winds. And with this, there was trees over 100 feet tall that were healthy, and were the strong oaks that were just pulled right out of the ground. And when they're pulled out of the ground, the bottoms of them, when they're on their side, that root structure, some of them were probably 12 feet in circumference. Enormous. Like and it wasn't just like one or two trees like you would get maybe with a hurricane. It was no tree was spared when this thing went through our area. Before it hit the New Jersey side of Washington Crossing, it unfortunately came right down on a house, and you'll see the pictures on the internet, and it looks like something you would see in the Midwest. And incredible as it sounds, the neighbor houses were basically unscathed. Minor damage from the debris flying around. But then, like a pogo stick, it pulls back up, and then it gathers more strength, and then it landed again. Probably it took 200 yards for it to land again, and then this was the beginning of the damage path. Now, this is a trail that you're looking at. I mean, this is a trail that my dog and I walk on all the time, and you can't see the trail, and that's because there's trees on top of trees, and this was really incredible. And up in here where my arrow is, I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't see it. The upper left-hand corner, there's large trees in there that now have no leaves, and that's a telltale sign of a twister. It just pulls up the branches and just rips the leaves right off of them, and it makes them basically bald and looking like they're dead. But the tree on the right, you can see how big that thing is. And, it just was something else. And so far, we haven't heard of any fatalities. And hopefully it stays that way, because that would be a miracle from God if there was no fatalities in this thing, because it really came up out of nowhere. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was the biggest one ever reported in Pennsylvania history, especially southeast Pennsylvania, and then Mercer County over New Jersey. So some pretty scary stuff.
They are every bit of that.
Well, imagine it. This is probably going to be an F0, F1 is my guess from the knowledge I do know. I'm not an expert. I'm not with the National Weather Service, but I know a little bit about them. I mean, imagine an F3. So, we're talking, I'm figuring it was about 120 mile an hour winds, maybe up to 140 that went through that picture I just showed. And that's what it takes to do the damage of the trees that I saw that were, like I said, it wasn't just one tree. No tree was spared in that path, in that one section. It actually went through a playground in the park. Obviously, nobody was there. But I think there was probably 2 large trees that didn't come down, but were damaged. The rest of them were all down. So the whole place looks eerily different. And then the car dealership, Faulkner, down in Trevose, that was the second one. And that was the storm that was just south of you probably. And it came in about 7:15 into Ben Salem, Trevose area, which is east of you. And that was the biggest one by far. That landed on top of the dealership and took that and made it into a disaster area within seconds. I can't even imagine what that sounded like. It had to sound like multiple bombs going off when it did that. So again, if you type in Faulkner and then Bucks County Trevose tornado, I'm sure the pictures will come up and you can see what I'm talking about. It's just nuts. But now today we have a beautiful day. It's nature's way of cleansing. It really is. It's an amazing thing. But anyway, let's talk about baseball here. And Max on Record here is already in the house, and we're glad to see him. Now this is something I expect from Max on Record. I appreciate that, Max. I can safely say that if I was alive back in the day, Dorothy was definitely not my type of gal. I was much more of a Gilligan Island type of guy. But glad to see you not with Dorothy. I think he meant Dorothy. Mm-hmm. And then we have, let's see what he says here. Tony Mejia, thanks for the NBA mock draft, James. Draft pick over 7.5 plus 195 went way over. That was a great call. And now in baseball land, we had, I think you said 20 trades. And
there's a lot of them not even listed yet. About 20 players moving teams, that's for sure.
That's a lot more than I thought were going to happen.
Yeah, they're all over the place, including your hometown Philadelphia Phillies, who got involved today. So everybody found a way to get involved today. I think the last team that was in contention that hadn't made a move was the last team to make a move, as the Giants, who had been really, really quiet. A lot had been reported on Trevor Story going to San Francisco, but that really didn't pan out. And they wound up with what looks to be Chris Bryant. The final details, I guess they're still going through some things here, but it was announced before 4 o'clock, so it can certainly be a transaction. They're probably still going through a little paperwork or something. I don't know what the Giants gave up in return, but that, I think, closed it out. There was a flurry between 3 and actually between 2 and 4. There was a real flurry, and a lot of them aren't even officially reported yet. Like I say, done deals, but not I's dotted, T's crossed paperwork, done deals. So we'll see. Lineups are going to be a lot different tonight. I myself, as I said to you, I was sending out plays to clients while we were talking there because I needed to wait till 4 o'clock to see what we're going to have here in regards to player availability. And I tell you what, from August through September, the next 2 months, John, these lineups, these teams are going to look a lot different. And maybe the statistical stuff that we saw the first 4 months of the season, becomes worthless. Offenses versus left-handed pitching versus right-handed pitching, because all these teams went out and acquired help to take care of whatever sore spots they had.
That's a good point.
So now maybe those don't apply the way we had been able to apply them all the way till this point in time. Yankees, a couple of big left-handed bats, right? Rizzo and Gallo. Both, you know what? I meant to check. It was a good possibility they were both going to be in the lineup tonight. Let me just see if the Yankee lineup is out there. It's not out there yet. But there's a possibility you will see Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo. They're both in town. They're both in New York. And if the
That's crazy.
pass, they're ready to go.
Tony Mejia sent me a Slack last night saying that's what was going on, and I wrote back and I flat out said, "Is this baseball? The rich just keep getting richer no matter what." And I almost kind of resent it that they can just wait and then price doesn't matter. Luxury tax doesn't matter, and they do what they do. And it's hard for the smaller market size franchises to compete, like in Oakland, like a San Diego, to stay. Pittsburgh is a great example. To stay step for step financially with a team like Boston or like the Yankees, even Philadelphia is up there. 10 years ago, they were approaching $250 million in salary. So it's not just the Yankees, but it does seem like every year that's exactly what happens. They go out and get what they need, and nobody's going to take it away from them. But I do like this deal with Philly that I've just had a chance to see, and I like Kyle Gibson quite a bit. I wish he was left-handed, given the righty dominant starting rotation of the Phillies. But that if they would have landed Tyler Anderson, who is a lefty, adding Gibson, then that would have been really good. But what do you think of this trade if you've had enough time to look at it?
Well, I think the Ian Kennedy part of it is maybe even as valuable, if not more valuable, than the Kyle Gibson part because of what he'll bring to that. He may be the closer immediately. Probably should be the closer immediately in Philadelphia. Ian Kennedy's a guy who's been around the block a long, long time. He's got some playoff experience, but he hasn't lost a lot due to age. And you watch him throw this year for Texas, and he's been very, very good, as has Kyle Gibson, who developed a new pitch, a cutter. American League offenses couldn't really hit it early on. His last couple of starts, 2 out of the last 3, I think, haven't been as good, but that's to be expected when you're this deep into the season. Now he's going to bring that to the National League, where the hitters are even more unfamiliar with him, and it gives Philadelphia at this point a bona fide 3. You don't have to worry about sending Vince Velasquez into that 3-hole. You can try your luck with Zach Wheeler, who's been really good, Aaron Nola, who's exceptional at home, a little questionable on the road, but still those 2, and then Kyle Gibson, and a bullpen that now features a guy who can legitimately close games. Hopefully there's no curse on Philadelphia to where whoever they bring in as closer just, fails miserably, but I think Ian Kennedy is the guy who stops that and at least preserves some of the wins that they do let get away in that bullpen. Whether or not it's a needle mover for the playoffs in general, John, it's probably not, because other teams, Milwaukee made a slew of moves. Obviously, the Dodgers, Padres, Giants, all active. And the Mets got Javi Baez today. The Mets got better.
Yeah.
And so, divisionally speaking, if it's a race for the division and we're 3.5 out, Dave Dombrowski probably figured, let's go try and catch the Mets and make the playoffs and get a little extra attendance money for those playoff games and TV revenue. So we'll see.
They didn't. This is a great deal for the Phillies. I'm not just saying that because I expect them to win the division. and have a little pizza money bet on them. It's more that they got a guy that is 287 ERA, 6-3 in 19 starts for a crap team, and Ian Kennedy, and a pitching prospect, Hans Kraus, who I don't know anything about him yet. But they only gave up 3 right-handers. They moved Spencer Howard, which has been talked about. His I guess, future has been debated back and forth for basically the last month. What's Philly going to do with Howard? How's he going to fit in? If not, but I don't know if he was ever mentioned as a trading asset, which is quite interesting. So they didn't give up the catcher that we talked about on the show. They gave up 3 pitching right-handed prospects, which are replaceable commodities. You can get right-handed pitching every single draft if you want. And then Phillies got $4 million in cash from Texas to complete the deal. So Dombrowski, I think, did real well with this. Wow. Yeah, we'll have to see how this pans out. But getting Kyle Gibson, I really thought he was one of the top assets available. Almost surprised that he didn't become a Dodger because they need help with the rotation as well. Speaking of the Dodgers, what did they do today, Rob?
I think they were silent today. I mean, they're still finalizing the Max Scherzer trade and Trey Turner to the Dodgers. They, San Diego reportedly was the front runner and almost had Scherzer inked a couple hours before the Dodger news came out, but they refused to give up Mackenzie Gore, one of their prize arms.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers, seeing now that Will Smith has settled in as their catcher for what looks to be the next 10 to 12 years, Kelbert Ruiz had nowhere to go. I mean, it was going to be a logjam. He's absolutely shredding AAA. He's major league ready, but, sometimes you get stuck positionally that way, and generally that doesn't happen at catcher. Dodgers just happen to have a farm system 3 deep with catchers, so that was the prize, along with Josiah Gray, who was, I think, the number 3 rated prospect, a very talented right arm, who's actually made a couple of starts here within the last 2 weeks for the Dodgers, so he's already on the major league level. So they get Ruiz, Josiah Gray, very, very young, where, Max Scherzer is actually 37 years old. So the Washington Nationals blew everything up.
They did.
They traded everything and anything, and they concluded that today. Anything not named Juan Soto is out of that clubhouse, and there's going to be a lot of, kind of corporate meeting name tags being worn. Hi, my name is Jim, and they got to introduce themselves to each other. Davey Martinez has a brand new list of players to go through here, and we'll see what his lineup consists of and what his pitching staff consists of and what his bullpen consists of, because they had 2 real valuable commodities there, maybe 2 of the best bullpen commodities on the market, and they got rid of them both. Brad Hand, I think, went to Toronto, and Daniel Hudson, who the Padres picked up late last night to help their bullpen. So, I mean, everybody's been involved. If it's the Brewers, the White Sox, the A's, the Mariners, the Astros, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, everybody got involved here that's in contention. So the teams that are in contention are a lot better, and the teams that were out of contention just sold off and are going to rebuild. In a lot of instances, there's a lot of rebuilding going on.
I want to bring up the Phillies again. I see they got their old friend Freddie Galvis, who was with the team in 2007, and then 2011 to 17. I think he was with the Phillies, and he's definitely a great defensive ad coming off the bench. Not much of a stick, but the guy can play defense. Second base, short, third, and outfield is what I remember, Rob. So that's a name that nobody knows that name as part of a deadline move for sure. But in this case, I think it's another good ad. Tony Finn.
There he is. I think that Didi's glove has been a source of question. But I don't know that you stick Freddie Galvis in for Didi. Like you say, you're talking about a guy who's just bench depth at this point in time. Familiar with the town, certainly not with his teammates because he's been out of here a long, long time. Freddie Galvis has, but
I just looked him up on StatCast. He's 30 outs above average at shortstop since 2016, and this is per StatCast. So that ranks 8th in the majors since that time. Now, that's on the. So I need to see how many innings that spans because it could be in comparison to the 7 ahead of him. The innings may be pale in comparison, but I'll do some research over the weekend and then bring that to the show on Monday. Unless Mr. Finn knows that already.
Don't know anything. Haven't you asked anybody? I'm here for the aesthetics.
very nice.
You're at the right place.
It's already more pleasing.
We started the show off talking about tornadoes, and I'm still waiting to see.
I saw your note.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta.
You made it sound like that you were sitting right next to it. Like, hey,
I was.
I see this thing. It's on the ground. Here's the deal. I know this for a fact, John, that unless your nerves are made of Superman crap, if that thing's sitting right next to you on the ground, you are not calmly typing without at least 5 or 6 errors in the words.
I have a spell checker.
Well, then I need yours. Mine sucks.
But I took pictures over. This was on the. I'm right on the Delaware River, so it was on the New Jersey side, and we got to the damage path, which was clear. There at that point there was a tornado on the ground, and that was, as the crow flies, it's probably 3/4 of a mile from the house. But what I was telling Rob was that, you knew it was coming. And I run out in the driveway to make sure that the plants that we bought, to plant for our party for the weekend, were safe and not going to, get damaged. I actually looked up in the sky, and the storm is coming from basically the northwest to southeast. And these clouds had to be ripping along at about 80 miles an hour. I have never seen clouds go that fast in the wrong direction.
Well,
so I went back into the basement.
Did your storms not move northeast?
No, this one didn't, and that surprised me too. I mean, where you come from?
All the storms, Midwest storms, typically northeast. In fact, where it's kind of that, and everyone Sometimes if you happen to be at where the two fronts have met, it'll move east. It'll move almost directly east, only because that north front somehow. I don't know enough about meteorology to tell you if a north front is stronger than a southerly wind. I don't know those things. I just don't. So I know this much. I know a tornado when I see one. I know a tornado when I hear one. And when you hear one, you're probably in harm's way.
Well, there was 2 separate tornadoes. The one that was near us was plenty powerful, and you could hear it.
Which one did they name Toto, and which one did they name Dorothy?
I don't think they named them yet. Okay. I was going to send in. A recommendation to name one of them Finn, and then the other one Machine Gun Kelly.
Okay, well, as long, I have to be at least a category -1, so really naming them is fruitless.
I thought they only named hurricanes, by the way.
Well, they do, but that doesn't mean we can't start something.
Well, that's true. We could think out of the box.
We could surely try.
Here's a picture. Rob hasn't seen this one, but you'll see what I'm talking about, because these are large trees, and you're looking at a trail that my dog and I walk on a lot.
Oh,
it's a trail.
I thought you were going to say, listen, I swear you were going to say, you should see the trail that my dog leads. He usually does lead. It's worse than a tornado could ever.
That's
lead.
Right.
That's basically at the bottom of the right-hand corner there. Not the corner, but about 2/3 of the way to the right, you'll see like a little dark area.
Let me get my
That's the only evidence of a trail. And you're looking at a trail going forward, and look at the trees. Stripped.
Well, that is
stripped.
Here's the deal with something like that. That is an indicator of several different things. But you see, that doesn't look like to me more than a block 100 yards wide. Is that about what it is?
The damage path was as wide as about 400 yards.
Okay. It's hard to see because I don't have any. Those they could be redwoods, and that would make it about 400.
The perspective would be that you're looking perpendicular to the damage path the tornado was going left to right.
Oh, okay. So that's not a horizontal. That's not a. We're not running congruent here, up and down. Okay. All right. I had to use congruent. I had to use that MIT word.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good. But for Pennsylvania, that was quite the storm.
Yeah, well, if you don't have many tornadoes, then yeah.
Well, I've
seen some damage paths. I've also seen we have a lot of microbursts here, John.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They call them microbursts. It's kind of a new phrase. And the funny thing is that some
it's in the movie Twister.
Oh, okay. If I showed you a microburst, for instance, or what happened to this microburst, where essentially this is what happened. You have a 1 block area where everything has been like obliterated or blown over or looks like a strong wind. And then it's pristine, almost pristine around. You go 2 feet outside that thing and there's nothing. And they call it a microburst, but I just call it a baby tornado. Give me this microburst crap. That was just a baby, didn't know how much he could eat yet. Now, probably a she. We have to name them she. So. They name all the hurricanes after women, don't they? Donna.
No, I think there was a couple boxers named Hurricane something. Hurricane.
Yeah. No, it's just Hurricane. It's like Prince. It's like Cher.
Hurricane Rocky.
Hurricane.
Ah.
Cher. Elvis.
I'll have to Google it.
LeBron. They don't need anything else. Nothing else.
So we're talking we're talking baseball.
Yeah.
I actually had I did a college football play, but we're going to talk about that on Monday just to give people a teaser to come back to our show on Monday.
Okay.
But it's up on WagerTalk News. It's in written form. It's the Florida Atlantic versus Florida. And I'll just give this piece away. Looking at returning starters, Florida Atlanta has 20, including the quarterback, of 22 starters from last year. Florida has 5 each on offense and defense. That's a total of 10, and not the quarterback. And I think 24.5 points is way too many. And I think Florida Atlantic could lose this game more like 10 to 13 points because they have their whole entire offensive line back. And that chemistry, as you gentlemen know, is such a valuable asset to have in the first 4 weeks of a college football season. I'm not saying Florida Atlanta's going to beat them.
Okay. I think they're going to make it close. This is really important then, because I think it's relevant. It's a relevant question, and it's like any scientist. Those like us that are scientists, we're sports scientists. You need to test your theories, and not that this is a new theory per se, but here would be my test. Okay, we're going to throw a fly on top of the icing of this cake and see if it's still edible. Does that make sense? Am I making sense, or am I rambling?
I guess, yeah.
Am I rambling? Rob?
You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm interested.
All right. Yeah, all right. Okay, here's my theory. There's new variables for those who are self-cappers out there too. All they do is those that listen to me or Rob or John and only listen to us to fade us. Then let me throw something at you. You're doing your own handicapping, your self-handicapping. Returning starters is a bit confusing, convoluted. It's messy this year. Why? Because with the COVID year, seniors, or if they chose to or didn't go NFL, got another senior season.
Yeah.
So returning starters, how you classify a starter too is very important. If you're reading someone else's work, or whoever's metrics and data you're using, make sure that the maybe the charts that you're comparing, that the starting, how they define starter, it's in the same Mediterranean Sea. It's not in the Caspian or something like that, and you're going to reach out and grab that and throw it into your pool. That's important. Thirdly, is returning starters. Do you gauge returning starters basically on the number? Let's say a team has 22 returning starters, and one team has 6 returning starters. Are you gauging returning starters based on the number, which means 22 to 6 is pretty lopsided? Or
right.
Are you taking – I don't use returning starters. I'm just throwing this in because I don't use returning starters. I use returning production, which means what's the returning production of those 22 compared to those returning 6? Because believe it or not, I have found matchups where the 6 that return have more production than the returning 22.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. That is very important to look at.
Okay.
And
are we still eating the cake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I have that information right here somewhere in the tool shed.
Good.
But
I'm glad you have that in the tool shed.
Let's save that discussion for Monday.
Okay. But I'm just throwing.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm just throwing some questions out there that I think there's a lot of people that come to me and say, "Listen, here's what I got. This game's lopsided," and they'll give me they give me information that's accurate. It's accurate. However, it's information sometimes I throw away, or I don't throw it away as much as I just ignore it because I have other metrics that build on that. You know what I mean? And that make that even more relevant, or maybe more prevalent, maybe more reliable. Is all I'm saying. I don't know. I'm saying my information is more reliable. I'm just saying that's what I do. How do you do it? And I'm just throwing that question out to you guys.
No, I completely agree. Like I'll show on Monday a listing of all the college football teams, good. Maybe in the SEC, and what they lost. So what percentage of the total output of defensive production, offensive production are these players that have moved on to the pros or seniors?
Florida, I think that's a great. I like it a lot.
38 points, I think, on offense.
Yeah, I like doing those things because I really enjoy. And I like, not only do I like to muddy the waters, as you guys know, but I have to separate returning production, and what I mean by that is that there are schools that play a schedule where their production. It might the returning production from one team that plays in the SEC might rank 7th among the returning production for other teams. However, their schedule may have been 8 times more difficult. So then, what do you do with that? What do you do with that intel or that info? We can really mess this thing up where it becomes a puzzle that we need to have 3 MIT grads, cipher that stuff out, and that would be John and 2 of your buddies.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Alabama would be the exception to the rule. I don't even look at Alabama. They could have 0 returning starters, and yes. I wouldn't degrade them.
That's the same way. Guess what? That's a good answer because there's times when. Somebody will. I don't know if it's not. I'm saying you'll do it, John, but many people come to me and I said, "Here's the metrics and here's why," and they've asked me a question, and here's why, and they'll look at me and say, "Well, you know something? Numbers don't lie." And I say, "Stop! You just jinxed the shit out of this because numbers do lie. You have to take numbers. Numbers have to be. You have to put numbers in relation with. If you're comparing other numbers, the foundation has to be essentially the same, or they can lie." So I never buy that. When somebody tells me numbers don't lie, I just kind of I see. I don't. Me. I'm not really the most. I try not to be too politically incorrect, but I'm also not I won't just turn right around and leave, but I will gracefully bow out of the conversation because I don't want to hear anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm just shocked to see this headline news. It has nothing to do with sports, but it's back to the Tony Finn Bucks County tornado.
Right on.
The National Weather Service says it was an EF3.
An EF3 is a pretty darn good tornado. It's not a 5.
Yeah.
It's not a 5.
I've never heard of that in Pennsylvania. And those are wind speeds of 158 to 206 miles an hour.
Yeah.
The trees I saw uprooted, I figured it had to be 120 plus to pull those trees out of the ground.
Do you know what an EF3 would do to my neighborhood here?
Oh,
where the tree roots, where the root foundations here in my neighborhood, a 40 mile an hour wind can blow a tree over.
Well, like I said, that dealership got ripped up instantly when it landed on it, and that storm was if ours was an EF3, then that one was too. But then, unfortunately, there was mobile homes right next to the dealership, and they were matchbooks. It looked like was it Juliet, Missouri? That it's a mobile home town, and they've rebuilt like 5 times in the last 20 years because EF5 blows through there every once in a while.
Yeah, I called them many times. I called them 5, 10 times and said, "Listen, I have some rope and some twine and some concrete to. It's extra special. It's EF5. It's foolproof. And you guys, if you'd like to build these parks a little better, maybe you wouldn't have to rebuild them every year."
But let's get back to. It's fun to talk about this stuff because I have some interest in it. But let's get back to the remainder of the baseball stuff here.
I got to go anyway. I got lots to do. I got lots of radio tonight, lots of shows tonight, and I could sit here all day and ignore work. I prefer to talk about EF3s and
yeah.
I think we should start our own little thing where, like, is Harper like is his rating right now? Is his damage? Is it an EF3 this week? Is it an EF5? What is it? Well, we can start doing that, and I think that would probably go viral, John.
Well, I'll work on the concept over the weekend, and we'll launch it on Monday.
Oh, well,
I'll have video.
We might need a little more time than that, but I'll listen.
I'll get video, and we can say
I like
his performance has been what.
We'll put Harper's head on a tornado and say, "Look, this is the kind of damage he's ready to do. He's done. He's going to." We figure, this path has another 3-4 games left before he's,
Yep, and the teams that they're playing lie ahead are straight in the damage path.
I think that term is perfect. They lie ahead. They're lying. They'll be lying when he gets done too.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah, there is. Pun intended.
That sounds like a good name for a tornado. Pun intended.
I like Tony Finn better. Better do more for my brand than pun intended.
Yeah, your brand. So why don't we start with we'll do free picks here. We'll call it a night. We all have a lot going on here, and then we'll resume on Monday.
Yeah.
At 4:00 Eastern Standard Time. And Steve Merrill couldn't make it today.
I wonder if he's going to make it tonight.
I don't know.
He sure volunteers for a lot of stuff, then doesn't show up. You hear that, Steve?
Ooh. I thought he was the host tonight. Doesn't he have to show up if he's the host?
I don't. He volunteered to take. We had a guy that was leaving Las Vegas. Not really, but I just use that because I like the movie. But I just use the term. He's leaving Las Vegas. He's leaving one part of Las Vegas to move to another part of Las Vegas, and so he couldn't make the first pitch show. And so I filled in, and like Steve was like 2 minutes after and so they said, "Oh, Steve, we already got Tony." So, but he volunteered for anything and everything. Steve will volunteer for anything and everything. Mm-hmm. If it comes to radio or TV. There's not a TV. There's not a radio. There isn't a quip that Steve Merrill verbalized that Steve Merrill doesn't like.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate because we do a Bitcoin show and financial markets as it relates to sports betting.
If I hear
Tuesday.
if I hear catch a dropping knife one more effing time in this year, then I'm gonna probably throw a knife at somebody.
Well, you'll probably never hear that because that's not the phrase.
Oh well, are you gonna correct me? What is it?
Nope, because you don't want to hear it, so I'm not going to say it the right way.
That's funny. That was good.
We'll say it.
Rob's got jokes.
A dropping. Well, you don't want to hear a dropping knife. Okay.
No, I just don't want. I mean, I hear it like every day. I hear it now. For some reason,
no,
someone's saying something. It's like, what? Man, I got to try. I just got to try to do it one time just so I can say at least I tried.
You probably have.
You can do it.
A dull one. Well, I want a dull knife, please.
Has your wife ever thrown a knife at you? Have you caught it?
Well, I can't confirm or deny that a knife has been, but there've been plenty of shit thrown at me. I just don't. When you're ducking and dodging, sometimes you don't care what it is. You're just ducking and dodging.
No more of those financial terms.
Well, I want you both to know I'm working on Steve Merrill to use the appropriate terms. I mean, the real terms that we used a lot on Wall Street. Like a common term is short squeeze. We use that one, right?
I've heard that one too.
You're right.
Catch a
falling knife is the same.
That's when your girlfriend's like a small person or a midget, and then you got a short squeeze. And you say, "Hey, listen, I gotta go see short squeeze."
Or how about open interest?
Well, I've got an open interest in a lot of things.
There you go.
Open interest. We could twist and turn that one. I
wonder if Steve Merrill knows what that is, though. See, I might flip this back on him now when he shows up at Manny's pub, and I'm going to ask him what some of these terms mean. Like, what's gamma?
That's a ray. It's a ray gun. It's a gamma ray gun.
Well, that's a good answer, but
is it?
Incorrect for the financial markets.
It's on most frat houses. Gamma.
Yeah, there you go.
Gamma pi.
Yep. Gamma pi. Yep, and Delta was in the Animal House, so that's a financial term too.
One
Alpha.
top 10 movie of all time.
Yeah, that was
basically all the Greek letters are almost represented in the financial markets in one way or another, with significant meaning and application, not just a joke. I mean, they really are.
Yeah, I agree.
Delta Tau
Chi.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that into consideration over the weekend too. Mm-hmm. So, Tony Finn, give us a 90-second to 2-minute rendition of a free pick in any sport that you want.
Okay, how about this one? Let me step. Let's go to Olympic swimming then. If I'm getting right.
Yeah.
Texas Rangers, the Texas Rangers and the Seattle Mariners are playing polo baseball tonight in Arlington.
I bet they are using horses.
I have three plays tonight. This is in 7 years at WagerTalk. Only happened once on my watch, and that is I have 2 5%ers same day, same sport, and I have it on the trade deadline day. And people are saying, "How?" Well, because
that's interesting.
I've been tutored by Rob and John Machine Gun Kelly, and I know what to do and when not to do it and all that kind of stuff. Now, I didn't know yesterday. I know now. Today's the day. It's happened once before in my 7 years, and that was believe it or not, that was in college football, and which is probably a little easier than the trade deadline in baseball, considering there's 108,000 games, on a Saturday. So, but I'm going to give you the sandwich. I'm going to give you the game that's sandwiched between those two. One's an early game, one's a late game. One's an East Coast, one's a West Coast on my 5%ers, my big place. The sandwich game is the Seattle Mariners are visiting the Texas Rangers in the hot Texas, the one of the hottest places outside of Mojave here in Death Valley, close to me. But it's hot. It's hot. I think it feels like 105 today. I think it feels like 105 in Arlington today. So it's hot. It's humid. And we have a rookie pitcher for the Seattle Mariners who have above every single team in Major League Baseball, outperformed their skill set, outperformed their pay grades, and outperformed their expectations, their projections. I think you three would agree, or you two would agree. You three, yeah, you, and you, yeah.
Yep.
And
yep.
Gilbert, they have a rookie pitcher named Gilbert going. Gilbert's is one of the top prospects, not only in all baseball, definitely in the Seattle system. And it's a team that's building from within right now. They essentially departed with anybody they wanted to the last 2 years and got a little trouble for it. And the general manager that did that work is gone. But back to the game. Gilbert's going against a Texas lineup that listen, ask Rob Veno. Rob, how many times have you beaten Texas in the last week?
I beat them pretty good until they won. They beat Arizona one time.
Right. A long story short is they were a pretty good bet against over the last couple of weeks. I think you'd have made I think you could have paid the mortgage had you just blamed a little bit of money. Now they've dismantled more of their roster by getting rid of, and I shouldn't say this with enthusiasm. No one should, but their closer was Ian Kennedy, and that's for Texas that's a significant loss. They don't have anybody. They don't have much. And listen, the kid that they have on the mound, Allard, lefty. Seattle doesn't hit left-handers that great. In fact, if they haven't been that great against left-handers. The truth is, guys, they haven't been a very good hitting team all year. They, their runs per game are less than the team ERA. They have won a lot of close games. They have won games that you and I would have probably been on, and we had a 3-run lead going in the 8th or something, and we're a loser. Something strange has happened. Something strange in the water in Seattle. Something strange in the hotel water that Seattle stays at when they're not in Seattle. And I really like the first off, this line, guys, this money line, Seattle Mariners in Texas with a rookie pitcher that does not have 12 major league starts, big boy starts under his belt. And they've been as much as a $1.80 favorite this morning. Now they're settling in where they opened at a minus 160. You can see you can get a minus 58, 55. You can get to 52 cents even at Penny or at 56 at Heritage, et cetera, et cetera. That speaks to this game. It speaks to what the bookmakers think of Texas right now, truthfully. I know that they've made some adjustments and they've caught up to Seattle's production and wins. And Seattle, no team has won. No team has a bigger ROI as an underdog this year than Seattle, I believe. Listen, San Francisco's pretty close, I think. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I'm guessing. Long story short is I'm on Gilbert. I'm on Seattle. And I'm not just on them because I wouldn't dare be on them at a $1.60, minus 60. I'm on them minus 1.5, even money in Texas. I like Seattle, like Gilbert, what he's done, where he's come in his dozen starts, and where this team is, despite the fact that they sold their best relief pitcher. I think it doesn't even get to that point tonight, and I think the Seattle wins by margin over a Rangers team that's not only been dismantled, that wasn't good to start with, but from what I understand, what I've been told from a Dallas Morning News friend of mine, correspondent, associate, that the locker room is pretty much, are we going to be able to make it through the final 50 games plus of the season without killing each other? And there you go. Seattle Mariners minus 1.5 plus 100. Friday night. The Fin Factor special.
I love it. Rob Veno, it's your turn to tell us who to go to the window with.
What swimmer?
All right.
I was staying away from the windows last night, I'll tell you that. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're focused on baseball.
I'll go to the West Coast and play a first 5 between the LA Angels and the Oakland A's. If you start here with the starting pitching matchup, right? Bassett against Sandoval. Each one of these guys has had 2 really good starts against this opponent. Bassett's had 2 excellent starts against the Angels. Sandoval's had 2 really good starts against the A's, albeit not of 6 innings. Each of those 2 starts were against each other, which is even more easy to dive into this and figure out which way we need to go. In the two games that these two guys have pitched against each other this year, Patrick Sandoval against the A's went 5 innings both times. Once he allowed 5 hits, the other time he allowed 4. He allowed 0 runs, and he allowed 2 in his 2 starts. Pretty good stuff. Chris Bassett even better. 2 starts against the Angels, 9-inning, 2-hit shutout. And the other one was 7 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs. Bassett struck out 17 Angels and only allowed 2 walks in his 2 starts. Since it's a 5-inning play, it really only matters what happened after 5 innings in those 2 games. In those 2 games, one of them was 0-0 after 5. The other one was 2-0 after 5. Angels haven't scored a first 5-inning run off of Chris Bassett this season, the 2 times they faced him. And now you got to deal with that Angels depleted lineup. We talked about it a little bit on this show yesterday, but with Jared Walsh on the IL, and with guys like Phil Gosselin hitting 3rd in the Angel lineup now, it's pretty much the Shohei Ohtani show. You throw in a little David Fletcher because he can hit. But that lineup's hamstrung here for offensive capability. It gets a pitcher that they haven't hit all season long anyway. The number here is 4.5, judging by the first 2 times around. And both of these pitchers are in pretty good form at this current time. So I would take Oakland and the LA Angels under 4.5 runs first 5 innings, thinking that a repeat performance or a third time around performance for those 2 guys is in store here tonight.
Awesome. I love both of the plays. You bring clarity to immense confusion and convolucence with the trading deadline. Postlude.
Exciting
Postludes,
stuff.
Tone.
Puts
Postludes.
goosebumps on my arms to hear those big 20-letter words. Keep coming. Keep coming.
I haven't sent a letter in the mail in God knows when. But
you can do that still?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I tried it. I'm told it'll take 2 weeks. So they might be back to using horses, but I'm not sure.
I'm told don't go to work for the post office because there won't be one very soon. Go ahead. I'm listening. I need you. Come on. We're hot.
Where is my PGA thing here? PGA. Why did I get rid of that? Here, let me pull this up quick because I want to brag first. I can brag about golf. I can't brag that I had a losing night. The streak is over in Major League Baseball. I'm now 13-3, commonplace. And I am not putting out a play tonight. I personally love your plays, and I would recommend them wholeheartedly. I may play them myself, but for the models, this is where we have the roadblock because we have the trade deadlines, and there's so many of them. I'm kind of overwhelmed right now, and I haven't had time today to really do the due diligence and be, feel good about putting out a play that I want to put out. So it's. I guess I'm trying to say is just because I'm 13-3, I'm not going to put out a 10-star to get sales. I'd rather lose the sales and get a little bit more respect than anything. So I do have a free pickup, though, and it's on the Cleveland Indians. And it's a big-time contrarian play. We have Lance Lynn on the hill, and he's going against, I believe it's Carrera, if I remember right. No, Carlos. John Carlos.
Yeah,
who has an 8.58 ERA over his last 9 starts. But contrarian betting angle. All right, there's a lot to this report over at sportsmemo.com. So if you want to see the whole report, please go over and read it. Because at 5 a.m. this morning, my intent that I was going to have a full-fledged card just like any other day. But this angle here is 57-44 over the last 15 seasons. The requirements are to bet on road underdogs between plus 175 and 225. That is starting a pitcher with a terrible ERA of 7 or higher spanning its last 5 starts. And our ugly road dog is facing a host that has a sterling, sparkling starting pitcher in great form, giving up no more than 1 earned run in each of his last 2 starts. And in fact, Lance Lynn has given up 1 run exact in each of his last 4 starts. However, this combination of parameters that would logically have you all over the Chicago White Sox actually has you on the Indians. And I equate these, I call these blackjack angles. and drawing on the blackjack game. So if you go to the blackjack table tonight and you play 101 hands and you go 57 and 44, and then say you're betting $100 a hand, you would make $1,300. Not counting the blackjacks that you would have gotten. However, in this one, you bet $100 on each of these games, you're up $6,250. And I ask you, which is better, to make $1,350 at the blackjack table or make $6,250 on this betting system? So you're getting paid about a $177. You're getting paid $177 for every blackjack win instead of just getting paid even money. I like this system, and it points on Cleveland. And in the golf, I finally found it here. I did say yesterday, and tell me if I didn't, because we have to be transparent. I'm starting to actually hate that word now, but let's just say honest. But Xander Schauffele's in the lead. Didn't I say he was going to win this event and win the gold medal? I actually don't remember. I'm not trying to be a jerk.
I didn't hear it. Of course, I don't think I came on late yesterday or something. So
no, it would have been at the end.
I wasn't paying attention then. I apologize.
Well, Max on record, I think, knows, but I'm almost 100% sure because I actually did bet him and Paul Casey.
Yeah, okay.
They were both 20-1 going into the second round. So I was kind of surprised to see Schauffele at the top of the leaderboard. He shot just a mere 63 today, 8 under. He's at 11 under for the tournament. Our leader for first round, Sepp Straka, shot even par and is 3 shots behind. So he's already been caught in the golf tournament. McIlroy is lurking, tied for 7th, -7. So Paul Casey -7 as well. So I do think one of those 3, but I didn't bet Rory, but I did bet Schauffele and Paul Casey. So we'll see how that goes. And that is really all I have.
All right.
So,
there you
happy
go.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for putting up with the weather education that I provided today. Somewhat meaningless weather education I provided today. I guess that's about it. Do you guys have anything special? I know you have 2 5%ers, so guys, you don't underestimate these. Just go over and buy them. You're investing in yourself, and you're getting a guy like a Tony Finn, who's been around since Abraham Lincoln, and Rob Veno, who's a little bit younger than that, but they truly know what they're doing. You can trust me on this and go invest your money in them. And you know what happens when you do that? You have 2 of the best pros on the planet working for you.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, working for you. And they do work extraordinarily hard, and we all do. You can't do this. You can't do anything in life half-assed. You either do it full bore or you just don't do it. We do it full bore, and we have a lot of fun doing it. So, guys, have a great weekend. I'm going to try to stay out of windy situations, so I won't be flying to Chicago anytime soon. So on behalf of Tony Finn, Rob Veno, myself, the Predicted Playbook, sportsmemo.com and wagertalk.com, and of course Manny's Irish Pub, may all the wins be yours.